Hello, friends. Doran Christensen here. As we are now in May, if you're like me, this time of year, you're thinking, I've done everything. It seems like we're doing the same thing over and over. Is there anything fresh? And I get a lot of solace in the reminder that we're not necessarily looking for fresh. We're looking for things that really make an impact on students. If we can be scripture-based, learner-focused, Christ-centered, those are the things we want to rinse and repeat. And those will guarantee for edifying classroom experiences. So I wanted to focus in this lesson on learner focus with the way we approach questions. And so as I was looking at the questions in this lesson, I can see three different kinds of ways we can approach questions. I color-coded them. And so we can, and I'll list some pros and cons. So maybe the default is we pose a question to the entire class. The pro of that is, as a class, we're all together, we're on the same page, we can hear a lot of different perspectives. The con is, typically we have some students that are inclined to comment frequently, and maybe they're great comments, but they're the commenters in class. And this is a time where other students know they don't have to, and so they're observers, and they're not very involved, and they rely on others to do that. So that's one way of asking a question. Another way is we could have them respond in kind of a neighbor or a pair and share type of thing, or a group of three. The pros of having small group answering is we get everybody. Everybody's going to talk. Everybody's going to respond. Some might be more inclined to share things with just one other person instead of a whole class, and so their fears are abated. Con is, well, it doesn't always work that way. Some don't want to share with a neighbor, or their thoughts aren't going to be as in-depth because of trust issues, and so maybe it's not as great. The third way of posing a question, that off the top of my head is you're going to respond in a journal. So students are going to respond by writing instead of vocally. Pro of this is, again, everybody's going to participate. They can go in depth because you can write as personally as you want. You can be very authentic and real. Con is, maybe not everybody does a great job. They want to doodle instead of write, or they're bored and so they're going to daydream, and so they're not. So there's pros and cons, but if we're learner focused, every time there's a question, we're thinking, what's the best way to offer this? So I'm going to just look at the questions in this lesson and give you a few thoughts of mine on how I think this could be approached. So we start with talking about change, coal to diamond, or ice to water to steam. I put in green, I think these are good ask the whole class questions because they're easier for a class to be involved and not feel threatened, and they're easier questions usually. What causes it to change? And you can have somebody, oh, it's time and pressure and heat. Or temperature causes, anybody can say how ice gets to water and water gets to, we're going to talk about temperature probably. And so we're going to try to get lots of people involved, but as we go in depth, we want to, can we get more people involved? And so I put in pink, maybe this is a pair and share. Ask your neighbor how the changing of coal to a diamond, is that similar to how people change over time? Are the reasons for change the same, or are they different? Can you talk to your neighbor about that? And then we got everybody talking. It's not too intense, but we're getting more to the change of heart. So that might be you might have different answers for your class. I'm just I'm talking you through mine. So as we go down, we're going to look at Mosiah 1 through 5. That's all the verses for this lesson, really. But I put in brown, maybe this is a good journal question. So I want everybody to have an experience with this, and maybe this is a little deeper or more personal. When have you, like King Benjamin's people, had a strong desire to do good continually? And what helped you feel this way? Now this is deeper, and so I want every student to have this experience. If I ask the whole class, you might have somebody raise their hand really quick, and then everybody stops thinking. And so you really didn't pull the whole class into this beautiful question. And so that might be a good journal one. That doesn't mean you can't have some sharing afterwards, but give them time to have everybody think, everybody write, and have an experience with it. The pink, again, neighbor share. Why do you think many of us do not feel this way all the time? So tell your neighbor, why do you think we're not always feeling inclined to do good continue? What are some reasons? So that's not too personal. It's maybe more cerebral, and so talk together, but it's a good question. Green, this is maybe ask the whole class, what do you think a person can do to feel this way more often? Class, what do you think? We've talked about this. We've had some experiences with it. What do you think we can do to feel this way more often? So that could be a good classroom discussion. But you see, those are 3 different ways to approach those series of questions. Let's look at another. Looking at Wendy Watson Nelson question, quote, according to Sister Nelson, what can Jesus Christ do to help us change? This could be a good classroom one because you just read it. Maybe you had it on a screen, on a PowerPoint, so everybody's seeing it, but that's the class can just bring out. But in Brown, that's in the journal again. What did you learn about your role in changing? So maybe that's a personal one, and I want everybody to think and have an insightful experience. So let's respond in our journals to that. Last one that I'll share today, this is a video. And I like the video with the young man who has a change of heart. And so if we're going to watch the video, I can see very easily asking the class these questions. How did the Lord help this person? What did you see? So everybody watched the video, so that's maybe easier to answer. What individual efforts did you see this person make to change? Again, the class could answer that. But once we've got a question like this that is more thought-provoking, I want everybody to weigh in, not just those that are comfortable answering publicly in front of the class. So I might have them turn to their neighbor and say, there's this great question. I want everybody to answer. Would you turn to your neighbor and would you just share, why do you think these changes lead to greater joy? Tell them what you think. At any rate, there's many ways to ask a question. My invitation to you is to look at your class and think, what is the best way to help my students have a great experience with the questions that I can pose so that they are having the experience? Thanks for all that you do. Have a wonderful lesson with this.